Hi, I'm Becca Barry and I teach animation to children, and today we're going to be having a look at how to just do your own simple stop motion animation using a tablet, using a phone, and just things that you can find about your house. One of the key things when it comes to animation is making sure that you keep things still. You have to keep your filming device still, and you have to keep your models or the things that you're animating still unless you want to move them. So the very first thing that we're going to do in this film is we're going to look at how to get set up, how to make yourself a stand that will hold your filming device nice and still. If you have any Lego or Duplo in your house, this is great for making a stand with. You just need something to support the back of your tablet or your camera and something to support the front to stop it slipping forwards. When you've done that, make sure you tape it down with masking tape or stick it in place with blue tack so the stand itself doesn't slide around, and you're ready to film. Equally, you can make a smaller one and that will work just as well for a phone. Again, just tape it down, keep it in place, and it's not going to move around whilst you do your filming. Another really straightforward way to make a stand is to just use a split pot yogurt, which you can tape to the table with masking tape, and your tablet or your phone will just sit in that little notch between the big bit and the small bit, and it will stand up at a nice angle ready for filming. So that's really easy to do. When you animate, you need to have a nice still background behind what you're doing. I'm using some lining paper that I've got from a DIY shop, and I'm just taping it to a box and taping it to the table. And then when I film, there'll be a clear white background behind what I'm doing, which won't distract from the object that I'm animating. You could also paint or draw or decorate your own background to use as a set behind what you're doing. I've got a plain blue piece of card here that I've painted to look like sky, which is quite useful on lots of different occasions. I'm taping it to the table and taping it to the box behind it. So next you're going to need a good app to use to do your animation. If you Google stop motion animation on your app store, then you should see Stop Motion Studio. There's various different versions, but the blue version is free, so it's a good place to start to see if you like it. So now you just need to open up your app and get yourself started. You'll need to open up a new movie to use, and then there's a few things that you need to set to get going. It's a really straightforward app and really nice and easy to use. So if you click the help button, it will tell you all the different things that it'll do. So that's a good place to start. Then after that, before we animate, we are going to set the speed for our film. If you click on the settings button, it should give you the option of choosing how many frames per second you want to record. We want to choose 12 frames per second. This means that for every second of film we're going to create, you want to take 12 photographs. This is very standard for making stop motion animation. The thing we're going to set is something called the onion skinning. Now, when you're animating, you want to be able to see what you've done and what you did just before. So if something gets moved by mistake, you can move it back. You can see if you've moved your object far enough or too far. And the onion skinning will show you that. It's here on the left-hand side of your screen. If you move the arrow in one direction, it will just show you what your camera sees. If you move to the other end of the dial, it will show you what you've just filmed. But if you're in the middle, it will show you both. And it looks a bit like this. You can see on this film where my apple was on the right and where I've moved it to on the left. Now this is a really big movement. I've moved it too far, but that's okay because I can use my onion skinning to move the apple back so it's just got a tiny movement, because when we animate you just want tiny movements between each photograph. This is much better because you can see I've just moved my apple a tiny little bit to the left, and if I keep doing that for every shot I take, it will make a nice smooth animation. So you're all set up, your camera's nice and still, you've got your background, you've set up your app with the onion skinning so you can see what you're doing. You've put it to 12 frames per second, ready to film. We're ready to go. You're going to need to move your object a tiny bit each time and then press the red button to take a photograph. You keep on doing this and keep repeating it until you've got the amount of photos that you want. Remember, it's going to be 12 to make 1 second of film. When you've done some, you can press the triangle play button to watch what you've done before you carry on again. It will play back what you've been doing and you can see. You can just carry on if you want to. If you make any mistakes along the way, press the frame that you're not happy with and this menu box will come up and you can choose to delete the frame and get rid of it and to take it again. And here's how it looks now as an animation. If you want to film something from above looking down at it, it's a bit more complicated, but it can be done. You'll probably need to do a bit of experimenting. You can set something up by cutting a hole in a cardboard box and putting your filming device on top, looking down onto your paper below. As you can see, mine is a strange sort of setup here. I have opened out a box, I've propped it up, I've counterbalanced it with bricks, I've taped my iPad on the top. So it's quite complicated, but have an experiment, see what you can come up with, because it is also fun to film things from above as well. So, you're ready to get started. If you remember to keep your filming device still, if you remember to do 12 frames per second, to use the onion skinning, it'll be great. You should come up with something that looks really good. But don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to make mistakes as you go along and have fun. If you want to find out more about some different animation techniques, then have a look. I've also got a film on animating objects and how to make their eyes move. There's one on creating cutout animations so you can animate pictures, and one about building plasticine models with armatures so you can create more elaborate models and make them move. I hope that you feel inspired and ready to get animating. Good luck and happy animation!